Welcome back to OtakuDaiKun, Dai-chan here, and you're watching the Waifu Files, the series where we discover and celebrate various anime through their lovely ladies. Given it's the heat of summer right now, I wanted to make an episode fitting for the occasion. Then it hit me, why not cover an anime with summer directly in the title? Summertime Rendering, or Summertime Render, is an urban fantasy horror with time travel and creepy doppelgangers. Its debut got screwed up by Disney and Hulu refusing to simulcast it, but thankfully the show itself doesn't suffer for it. This anime hooked me from episode 1, so I hope you can appreciate it as much as I did. Before we get started, consider buying this dai-chan Dakimakura from Cuddly Octopus. Celebrate your fandom with the most huggable merch yet. I'd drop a direct link, but it's too spicy for YouTube. Please search it up on Google instead. Without further ado, let's shine a spotlight on some waifu. Summertime Rendering tells the story of Shinpei Ajiro, a young man who returns to his hometown, Hitogashima, to attend the funeral of his childhood friend Ushio Kofune. While that's a morbid occasion all its own, Shinpei begins to notice something strange is happening on the island. He discovers that the town's summer festival is being used as a ritual to slaughter and sacrifice the villagers for the sake of copies, or shadows, who've been plotting for years to take over. Fortunately, Shinpei has a mysterious power that lets him travel back in time when killed, giving him the chance to put a stop to their plan. Where did this ability come from, and why is it that he encounters his friend Ushio still alive? Exploring the anime's waifu will provide us the answers. Let's start with our central antagonist, Haine, also known as Hiruko no Mikoto, the island's goddess. Technically speaking, the goddess Hiruko is actually some kind of extra-dimensional alien who came to Earth on an asteroid that sank into the ocean 300 years ago. Assuming the form of a whale, she washed ashore and devoured Haine, the young Japanese girl who first made contact with her. Copying her form, Hiruko assumed Haine's identity. Ever since, Haine has lived on Hitogashima as the first shadow, their mother. She has a spouse, a human named Tokiko Hishigata, who's kept his consciousness alive over the years by copying his memories into Haine's children. Shide, both shadow and human, is the story's true villain, aiming to use Haine's extra-dimensional space, Tokoyo, to bring about a true end to the world. Haine herself is torn between the wicked whale Hiruko and the innocent girl she devoured. Thus, at her core is a lonely girl who wants friends and family, but can't hold back the need to eat people. To that end, she follows Shide's discretion. For years, she's been hiding beneath the island in Hiruko Cave, feasting on the data of deceased humans to survive. Shide's plan, however, involves consuming the entire town's population. Haine once lost her right eye, which made its way to Shinpei, granting him the ability to loop back in time. Only at the very end does she decide to give up the fight, allowing the whale from 300 years ago to be erased, creating a world without shadows. The descendant of the human Haine can be seen in the story's final loop. Overall, she's both wicked and sympathetic. Shide is the true villain, and she's treated as a mere pawn. That said, her childlike naivete can be quite scary as she follows his orders. The most iconic character in Summertime Rendering is Ushio Kofune. After his parents were sacrificed to Haine, Shinpei spent his childhood being raised by his stepfather. Legally, that makes him Ushio's stepbrother, but because he's in love with her, he tried to shake that stigma by moving to Tokyo. Ushio misunderstood his motive, angry that he was abandoning her. Before leaving the island, Shinpei promised he would make her his signature curry when they met again. Unfortunately, he wouldn't actually return until after her death. You see, Ushio's an aggressive yet kind-hearted girl. While picking up trash on the beach, she encountered her own shadow, one that happens to be a defect. Rather than following Haine's orders, Ushio's shadow initially thinks she's the real Ushio, and even teams up with her other self to protect the island from danger. Upon realizing she truly is a shadow, she uses that power to fight against her own kind. This includes copying weapons for her friends and erasing other shadows on contact. Naturally, this proves a threat to Haine, who aims to find and reprogram her. Ultimately, though, the two Ushios risk their lives to rescue a little girl named Shiori, who was being pulled under the ocean by her shadow. In the ensuing struggle, human Ushio sacrifices herself so that her shadow can bring Shiori to safety. While valiant, it doesn't stop Shiori's shadow from killing them all and passing herself off as the real person to her friends. Because of this, Ushio's shadow winds up injured and doesn't finish healing until the summer festival. She also loses her memory, forgetting all about the real Ushio's death. Still, when she meets Shinpei on the beach, she decides to help him save everyone. Fortunately, she has the ability to loop back in time with him, making the two of them a formidable team. Shadow Ushio, after finally reuniting with her beloved, doesn't hold back expressing her feelings for him. Like Ushio before her, Shadow Ushio risks it all to battle Haine and Tokoyo, where she's able to erase Hiduko's whale form in the past. The resulting timeline is free of shadows, and yet at the last moment, Ushio's shadow makes sure that Shinpei and her human form still meet up and become a couple. Naturally, I love how she spends the majority of this story dressed in a swimsuit. This is because Shadow Ushio last copied herself at the beach. She's a spunky, assertive girl with a heart of gold, totally worthy of being a certified favorite. Her countryside accent and extroversion pair well with her devotion. Shinpei refuses to see Ushio as his sister, but the same doesn't apply to Mio Kofune, his stepdad's other child. Mio is a sweet, athletic tomboy with tan skin. Shinpei genuinely treats her as a little sis, which is a bummer since she's totally in love with him. Of course, she knows how he feels about Ushio, so she suppresses her own feelings. As a subtle form of rebellion, though, she never refers to Shinpei as her brother, clinging to the hope that she might have a chance. Ushio's death only complicates matters for her. Sadly, Mio's good friend So Hishigata has a crush on her, and she turns him down to honor her own unrequited love. She's a good girl, which makes it all the worse when a shadow copies her and starts stalking her house. Turns out, shadows must kill their original hosts, otherwise they revert to mud after enough time has passed. Even though shadows gain the memories and personality of their victims, that's not enough to stop Mio's shadow from butchering her loved ones. Eventually, though, Ushio's shadow gets the chance to reprogram Mio's, subverting Haine's control to gain a new ally. Mio's shadow almost exposes her love for Shinpei, prompting the real Mio to finally confess. As expected, he's flattered, but can't return those feelings. This sucks. She totally deserves better. At least I can say she's adorable enough to be another of my certified favorites. Hopefully, Mio will be able to move on and find a different partner. For generations, Haine received her food from the Hishigata clinic. The Hishigata family, who serve Haine, deliver the island's corpses to her underground cave. Its current generation head is Seido Hishigata, a desperate man who lost his wife Chitose and copes by living with her shadow form. Haine promised him that he and his wife could return with her to Tokoyo. Placing all of his hope in that promise, Seido has his daughter Tokiko Hishigata support him as the family's heir. Tokiko happens to be Mio's classmate, a frail girl who isn't especially athletic. Not wanting to hurt her friends, Tokiko is led to believe that helping Haine return home won't endanger them. Come time for the summer festival, though, and all bets are off. Both she and Mio are mercilessly slaughtered for the Shadow's ritual. When Shinpei reveals this to her ahead of time, she shamefully confesses her role and pledges to help stop Haine. Tokiko herself cannot fight, but Haine had foolishly gifted her control of stray shadows that, with Ushio's help, are reprogrammed into allies. To that end, Tokiko is a tremendous fool who naively trusted villains that took advantage of her. Fortunately, she learns the truth and redeems herself by making things right. Summertime Rendering's best girl happens to share her body with a man, or former man. It's complicated. Hizuru Minakata grew up on Hitogashima with her twin brother Ryunosuke. As a teen, she was an aspiring author who wandered to the old Hishigata clinic and met Haine there. Despite the creepy vibe it gave her and her friends, Hizuru decided to befriend Haine, and for a while, that seemed to work out. After all, Haine longed for companionship, or at least part of her did. Eventually, though, her other half, Hiruko, took over. Ryunosuke happened to be the first one to encounter her in this state. Thus, when Hizuru approached the clinic that day, she found her brother dead, and Haine thrown into a panic. Though the truth was clear as day, Haine swore she didn't do it, and in agony, her eye blew out. The data she copied from Ryunosuke got sent into Hizuru's body, allowing the brother to move freely within her. Haine fled the scene, and Hizuru was rescued by Old Man Ginjiro, who'd been hunting shadows for years. Traumatized by this ordeal, Hizuru left the island, but not before Haine threatened to kill her should they meet again. For 14 years, Hizuru made a name for herself as a famous author, using the pen name Ryunosuke Nagumo. Her best-selling book is Swamp Man, a tale that's eerily similar to her real-life experience with the shadows. On occasion, she will have her brother's consciousness control the body, namely to handle tasks she dislikes, like interviews. Her life changes when she receives an ominous message on her phone. In Ushio's voice, it asks for her help, stating that only Shinpei Ajiro can save them. Reluctantly, Hizuru returns to the island and teams up with Ginjiro to hunt the shadows. She regrets not visiting sooner, because now Ushio is dead, and her friends have already been replaced by shadows. To fight them, Hizuru relinquishes her body to Ryunosuke. Not only is he more adept at combat, but his own sense of time is out of sync with reality. It's a perk that lets him see the future a moment before it happens, allowing him to avoid being hit. Most of the time, though, Ryunosuke remains dormant within Hizuru, and relying on him means recording messages he can use to learn what's happened during his slumber. Given her past, it's no surprise that she is merciless towards shadows. This makes befriending Ushio's shadow difficult, but even she is willing to come around in the face of overwhelming evidence. As far as I'm concerned, both Hizuru and Ryunosuke inside her make for one badass waifu. She's smart, cool, sexy, and my main certified favorite in the story. To put an end to the madness, Hizuru sacrifices herself fighting Shide, but before she dies, she transfers Ryunosuke's data to Shinpei. This pays off, as the end result is a world without shadows, one in which both she and Ryunosuke still live in their independent bodies. Hizuru's best friend growing up was Asako Kobayakawa. By the start of the anime, however, she and her family have all been killed and replaced by shadows. This includes her, her husband Tatsuo, and her daughter Shiori. They attend Ushio's funeral, leaving none the wiser to their nefarious deeds. Of course, when Hizuru discovers this, she prioritizes slaying the Kobayakawas to take revenge on the shadows who killed her friend. Luckily, in the anime's final loop, the one where shadows have been eradicated, it appears that Asako and Ryunosuke get married, with Haine's reincarnation being another of their children. Our last waifu, who's certainly platonic in her appeal, is Shiori Kobayakawa. That summer, she was the first to be copied by the shadows, and initially, nobody believed her, even though the island's rumors mention shadows coming back to kill their victims. As expected, poor Shiori was attacked by her shadow while swimming in the ocean. For the rest of the series, her shadow is used as a terminal for Haine to observe and take action beyond the confines of Hiruko Cave. Her sweet exterior, paired with Hiruko's twisted evil, makes for a grotesque combination. Even though she's safe in the final loop, it's hard to forget the uncanny faces her shadow put on. Little kids can be scary as fuck. If we include briefly mentioning Chitose Hishigata, then we've covered a total of 8 waifu from Summertime Rendering. This one got an extremely faithful, astonishingly beautiful anime adaptation that you absolutely must see if you haven't already. I hate when great shows get overlooked due to poor marketing. That's part of why I run this series, to share with you stuff you may otherwise miss out on. To that end, be sure to check out the full Waifu Files playlist for even more recommendations. I'm always on the lookout for more babes, so feel free to tell me which anime or games you'd like to see in a future episode. See you next time!
Thanks for watching.
If you enjoy this channel, help us grow by liking, commenting, sharing the video, subscribing to OtakuDaiKun, and
most of all, smashing that notification bell so you don't miss out on all our anime lore, discussions, and Let's Play content.
You can support us directly through Patreon, Subscribestar, or a YouTube membership, all of which come with benefits like spicy exclusive vids and early access.
As always, celebrate your fandom. I want to give a special shout out to all my $10 and up supporters: VideoGamer75, Dante Pendragon, Werg GX, Stephen Elak, The Nonchalant Ostrich, Otaku Mom, Jens Bauman, Mystic Samurai 1983, Free Brick, Olympian Doll, Alexis Yukio Gomez Yamato, Lunar Works, Link Pendrago, Observer Bellis, James Hewitt, Uncanny EXP, Zamas Autonomous, Yuki Eidos, Crow Kalem, Scout, Sal Soto, Tristan Riggin, Meifu Mado, Caitlin P, Sogai CH, Vladimir Ovna, The Taz 96, Jonathan Padua, Kengo X 77, Hersha of E-Rated Hands, Alistair Bernadotte, and Akakaze Yume. Thank you all so much.